Welcome to Frontiers of Technology, the podcast of the Inter-American Defense Board. Today we present a topic of crucial importance: data-driven defense, real-time predictive analytics. In this episode we address what data feeds the model, who defines what is suspicious, what happens if the system gets it wrong. We will explore where predictive analytics meets International Humanitarian Law, IHL, and where technological ethics ceases to be an aspiration and becomes infrastructure. Join us in this new episode of the Frontiers of Technology podcast. You'll learn that data-driven defense isn't the problem. The problem is how we design it, how we monitor it, and how we document it. Follow us on social media and visit our website, available in the description of this podcast. To begin with, when we talk about data-driven defense, we usually imagine efficiency, speed, accuracy. But behind every algorithm that predicts a threat, there are human decisions that need to be traceable, monitored, and documented. Predictive analytics can anticipate movements, but it can also generate false positives that unnecessarily escalate a conflict. In defense, this is not just a technical error. It is a possible violation of international humanitarian law. Algorithmic traceability is key. It's not enough to know that a system recommended an action. You have to know how he arrived at that recommendation. What data did you use? What biases did you incorporate? What thresholds did you apply? Enter UNESCO's recommendation on the ethics of AI, adopted by member states in 2021. This recommendation proposes principles such as transparency, accountability, and meaningful human oversight. And to support its implementation, the RAM tool was developed that allows countries to assess their ethical readiness in the deployment of artificial intelligence. RAM isn't just a guide. It is a compass. And in defense contexts, it can help ensure that predictive systems respect the principles of international humanitarian law by design. In international humanitarian law, responsibility is not dissolved in the code. If a military action violates the principle of proportionality, someone must respond. But how do you document a decision made by an algorithmic system? The International Committee of the Red Cross, CICR, has warned that autonomous systems must include registration mechanisms that allow the chain of decision to be reconstructed. This is not just a legal requirement. It is a learning tool. If we don't know how the system went wrong, we can't correct it. In Latin America and the Caribbean, the deployment of emerging technologies in defense and governance is growing. But how do we know if that growth is aligned with ethical principles? This is where the Latin American Artificial Intelligence Index, ILIA, developed by ECLAC and CENIA, comes in. ILIA provides quantitative data on the state of progress of AI in 19 countries in the region, evaluating dimensions such as governance, infrastructure, talent, and ethics. ILIA does not only measure technical capacity, it measures ethical readiness. And that makes it a strategic tool for designing public policies, regulatory frameworks, and defense systems that respect human rights. The legal framework that evolves with technology. The Convention on Certain Conventional Weapons, CCW, adopted in 1980, was created to prohibit or restrict the use of weapons that cause unnecessary suffering or have indiscriminate effects. While originally focused on mines, incendiary weapons, and blinding lasers, its modular structure allows it to adapt to new technologies, including autonomous weapons. This principle of adaptability is key. The CCAC not only regulates what already exists, but also opens up space to discuss what is emerging. And that's where the work of the Group of Governmental Experts, GEG, comes in. From technical debate to operational responsibility. Since 2017, the GEG on Lethal Autonomous Weapon Systems, LAWS, has been the international forum where member states discuss how to apply IHL to emerging technologies. In its most recent reports, the GEG has highlighted three key points: the need for meaningful human oversight in lethal decisions, the importance of algorithmic traceability to ensure accountability, the call to establish clear operational limits for autonomous systems. These principles coincide directly with the axes of the RAM tool, which supports states in the implementation of the UNESCO recommendation on the ethics of AI. RAM makes it possible to assess whether an AI-based military system meets criteria of transparency, fairness, security, and human oversight. the platform for responsible action. The REAIM Forum, promoted by the Netherlands and South Korea, seeks precisely that, to translate ethical debates into operational commitments. In its 2023 edition, REAIM brought together governments, academics, and technologists to discuss how to ensure that AI in defense respects human rights and IHL. Among its most tangible proposals: create algorithmic auditing mechanisms in military systems, establish legal validation protocols prior to deployment, promote international transparency on the use of AI in defense. REAIM is not a treaty, but it is a platform for convergence, and it can be the space where frameworks such as RAM and ILIA are articulated with the CCAC and the principles of the GEG to build a hemispheric governance of military AI. Now that you have learned about the use of AI in defense and the importance of a constant evaluation of its ethics, transparency, and potential biases in automated decision-making, you can see that data-driven defense cannot operate in a regulatory vacuum, and that the focus of the problem is on how we design it, how we supervise it, and how we document it. If we assume that technology is not neutral, then we have the power and the responsibility to make it fair, traceable, humane. For this, then the CCAC offers the legal framework, the GEG proposes operational principles, the REAIM articulates multilateral commitments, the RAM gives us a methodology to evaluate our ethical preparedness. The ILIA gives us data to know where we are and where we can move forward at the regional level. And International Humanitarian Law reminds us that, even in times of war, human dignity is non-negotiable. Designing responsibly is not an option. It is the only sustainable path. Together, these instruments make it possible to design an ethical architecture for military AI. Traceable, monitored, documented, and aligned with human dignity. Thank you very much for joining us. Don't miss our next podcast, which will cover digital twins in defense and tactical simulation. Let's continue to explore the frontiers of technology. See you soon. Inter-American Defense Board, promoting and strengthening hemispheric confidence and security.